Cool. So this is the NWC Show, episode 65. I'm joined by somebody who doesn't need an introduction, but if you would like to introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. SCW, the wrestling channel, Steve here for you now. And Barry, it's great to be back on your channel once again. Really big fan of your product.
Man, it doesn't feel like it was so long ago. I think it was February or something you were on, like, because it was episode 9. So however long ago that was. It doesn't seem like that because I've been on your channel, we've been on Rated R's, we've been speaking like every other month.
Yeah, well, we're constantly in contact. But yeah, to say like February was the last time I'm on this channel, that seems like, well, it feels like a lifetime ago, but it really doesn't because it feels like it was just yesterday it was here. But it's great to be back. I'm looking forward to chatting pro wrestling with you once again.
Man, it's going to be a fun podcast because there's been a lot that's happened. And I want to get your thoughts and feelings, first of all, on Becky Lynch, Belair, because if you've seen my review for it, I ranted because it was so awkward. They shouldn't have done that. But what's your thoughts on that?
Right, so I ranted as well on my video when I did a review for this, and I have to be honest with you, Barry. Looking at it at the initial, like let's take it from the start. Like I remember because this was the last match I watched live because obviously our time zone is a bit different as well to watching it live in the States, and it was about nearly 3 o'clock in the morning UK time when watching this, and we got Carmella coming out as Sasha Banks' replacement. Obviously, Sasha Banks was advertised until the moment of the show, until the moment of the match, which I think was a mistake in itself, but obviously I guess they didn't want everyone speculating the idea of Becky Lynch. So to give us Carmella, which everyone just groaned, you see the life come out of of Las Vegas, and then for Becky Lynch to come out, I think that was actually, even though it was kind of a bit of a sucker punch, I think it was well played by WWE because of the fact that they kind of went, we know we've given you Carmella and Bianca all these many times. You thought we were going to do it to you on SummerSlam. It's like, yeah, we did because this is what you should do week after week, But, at the same time, to give us that moment at SummerSlam, the place popped. And obviously, I thought to myself, it's really cool that Becky Lynch is actually going to be back. But of course, when you get to the part of the match, that's when you start thinking to yourself, right, okay, we're going to have now what? A 10, 15-minute match between these two ladies that are going to give us, so it's going to tear the house down. Nothing wrong with Becky Lynch winning. I think that most people would say that's expected in this position with Becky making her return. But the idea of making the challenge, I think this is where I go a little bit of a problem with it because we got the acceptance of the challenge. The bell rings 25 seconds later. Yes, there's a sucker punch. I agree there's a sucker punch. And we get the manhandle slam. A rock bottom. We know what it really is. And we get the 1, 2, 3. Now, okay, fair enough. That's your close to the match. That's where I have my disconnect because I looked at it and thought to myself, this doesn't make sense because, all right, yeah, now we've heard since it looks like Becky's going to be turning heel. All in favour of that. That sounds like really cool, a different direction. But I just felt like what we could have had is Becky with the microphone saying about the challenge. And then, we could have had a moment where Bianca says, yes, okay, great, accept the challenge. Boom, with the microphone. Do you know what I mean? Like, get that sucker punch in, get that attack in, and then you get that proud baby face, Bianca Belair saying, ring the bell, I can do this, and then have like a 25-second match. It would have made much more sense because you'd have told a good lay of the story, but Becky would have been confirmed as a heel rather than kind of a confused audience going, what the hell was going on? And then Bianca looking, we've just taken a star that we've built for the last 12 months and buried it in 25 seconds. Because however you look at it, she lost that quickly. It was only 2 moves of doom. So, yeah, for me, I think this could have been dealt with better, but I'm hoping on the other side of it, we will get better stuff going forward. But Barry, what were your thoughts?
Man, like you said, that's pretty much the exact same thing that I was saying. It's like cool Becky Lynch came back. That makes sense. We all thought it was going to be that same Carmella come out. They'll do the same moves that they always do, and it's kind of shit. It's just there. Becky came out. It was cool. The worst thing is she came out. She looked like a face. She was waving at the audience, getting at the high-fiving kids and stuff like that. When she won the belt, she was at the audience, holding it up. Wasn't anything like it was like, what was she meant to be? And then it's like later they're going, oh, she's going to be a heel. Or because you've just seen that. It makes no sense. Like you says, you could have established there's a heel there. You could have gave them a 10-minute match because you had the IC title that wasn't on the show come out and dance around anyway. And then you had Woods come out dressed as Scott Hall, which made no sense with a super soaker. And that took up a good 7 minutes, like each segment. Like you could have just left that, and that's going to be a hell of a match when it happens. How can you invest in it in the future as well, especially because it's like, how are you going to tell the story as in don't shake somebody's hand who hits you with a rock bottom? Like you said, that is a rock bottom. There's no need to change the name of it. We all know what it is.
Yeah.
It's like it's just so awkward. And for me, what really bugs me is Becky left with, well, she let the Raw title go. So she was like, I'm going to go have my kids, stuff like that. And then she comes back for the SmackDown title. I'm like, Becky could be used a little bit more over on Raw, because we have, obviously, Belair, you have Banks, whatever's happening with her just now, but you've got people there. You can build story. Over on Raw, I don't even know what's going on. It's like SmackDown's like got story and stuff like that, got guys. Again, same with Brock Lesnar. Don't know why he's on SmackDown, because Paul Heyman's there. But everybody wants to see Lashley and Lesnar, which will probably happen at Mania. But you could have built it from now till Mania, and it would have just been this huge, big super fight. But they're not going to do that. It's WWE. And I don't know. You just look at SmackDown, especially, I had all these cool Becky Lynch's there, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, who's doing great work. You've got an insane amount of talent there, and then you just look over to Raw, and it's like Bobby Lashley, Damian Priest, and the rest is just falling apart.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is, you look at it with the Raw division. I believe WrestleMania UK Mex did a great video this week about the state of the main event scene and just how it feels a bit lost right now with the superstars that are there. And I mean, if you look at the tag team division, the best people that are suitable to go for Bobby Lashley right now are all stuck going for the Raw Tag Team titles. You've got Randy Orton, you've got AJ Styles, and you've got Riddle, who's definitely a rising star in the making. It's probably too soon for him at this point, but those people feel more suitable for the main event scene. We've seen, as much as I want to see Drew McIntyre do well, I think it's his time to go to SmackDown and go for the championship over there. I don't think we need to see, how can we make that storyline work out where we have, on Raw, where Drew McIntyre's not meant to be going after Bobby Lashley yet. He still gets involved in that tag team match this week. So there is a lot of conflicting arguments right now what to do with that main event scene with Raw.
I would love to see Drew. I always say that he should drop down a little bit, get out of that main event picture, just because he was the face of the pandemic. So just to let people forget about that bit, make like a title like IC or the US title, give it a wee bit more prestige by giving it to him, and just having him going through like having great matches. That we could have a great match with Damian Priest, then he could go on to actually have a great match with Jinder Mahal instead of from like the stuff that they gave us, and just like keep us just having great matches. And eventually he gets bet, he goes up to the main event, wins the belt, and it's fresh, it looks different, but they're just giving us the same. It's like, it's if they just go, what, we've done that storyline, let's get the same copy and paste sticky notes back out, and we'll go for it again for the next 6 weeks. People have obviously forgot since just before SummerSlam when we've seen it, and it's just getting stale. Especially for me, moving on to the next one is, I know you shared the picture, and it gave me nightmares, and it was Karrion Kross when he came out, and it's like, his entrance, he had the belt, he's got Scarlett, he's got the good-looking woman, he's coming out wearing suits, he looks cool as shit. Obviously, I like him in ring. A lot of people don't. I think he's a 50-50 person, but if you don't like him, he's got the cool entrance. If you do like him, then obviously he's got everything. But when he turned up and he had that mask on, man, and he had that cross, and I could just imagine the meetings, and they go, you know what, Karrion Kross, let's give him a cross in his chest. And it's because it looked like the Sultan, the one Rikishi wore back in the day.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is so shit. What did you think about when that started out in Raw? Because I was ready to turn it off. I wasn't going to do my review.
I mean, to be honest, I watched Raw on delay this week. So when it came out, I saw the picture on Twitter before I watched Raw. And weird enough, usually this sort of stuff would make me want to turn away from Raw. But I was like, I need to watch Raw now. I need to see, because I laughed. I actually physically laughed. I felt I need to see this in person, what happens. Now, at least, thankfully, Twitter doesn't tell the whole story, because at least when he has the match, he wins in about 50 seconds over Ricochet, which I never usually say Ricochet losing in 50 seconds is a good thing, but it did it for Cross here at least. But I mean, the look is something to be desired. It's kind of a poor man's demolition. Like you say, the Sultan. And I put a tweet out as well, like, who wore it better? We've got, Dean Ambrose's, gas mask that we had there, Retribution mask. Masks haven't been really well booked recently in WWE. It kind of, it makes him seem a bit of a laughing stock. But unfortunately, Nick Khan has sort of said, and all these rumors on the inside stuff, that we need superstars to be marketable. This is the stuff that's going to get them out there. And it feels like we're almost going in a different direction now with wrestling. They want to go in a different way. And it almost feels like they want to become like the next Marvel, the next Disney. It's rather present this rather than like this sort of, I don't know, character. We've had like Nikki Ash as like the superhero, or almost a superhero, I should say. Maybe almost invested for most people watching. But like, at the same time, it's like with Karrion Kross, what have you done here? We've taken a guy that was in NXT, like you said, in Scarlet at the entrance. They've just stripped him bare. They've took everything that's special, the mystique completely away from him. And now he's just another guy. And now he's a guy in a gimp mask, which I don't know where we go from here. Like, this is a bit of a worry. So, I mean, Karrion Kross might just be the worst NXT call-up or buried in the quickest time. Because, honestly, if this carries on the way it's going and fans continually reject it, he is going to become the next Ascension, and we know what that leads to. I almost feel like I'm waiting for 2 years from now where he can be on Talk is Jericho and explain this time in WWE. I'm waiting for it. But, yeah, it seems a long, long way away at the minute. And poor Kross, because like you said, I'm a fan of him as well. In-ring, I like it. Not everyone needs to do these flippy things and five-star style matches. Karrion Kross is a character. Karrion Kross is a character that, you know, was just designed to do big man moves. He has a slower pace, a slower style. It's like watching something from the 90s. And I like that throwback style of him. And I like what was presented before. It's just a shame that that's definitely not what we're getting on Raw.
Man, it's just so, like you said, it's like a throwback to the 90s. But now, talking about marketing and stuff like that, the biggest time in wrestling ever, you had The Rock, you had Austin. All these characters were just reality turned up, which is what people like. People like to... The reason you can believe in Austin is everybody at some point has wanted to... They've had a boss or a teacher or somebody that's above them that they've wanted to like just slap the shit out of, and that's why Austin was just drinking beer and doing what he wanted to do. The Rock was easy to hate because he was the guy with all the money, and that's when they two came together. It was great. Even Taker, you could market him. Everybody disliked him, from kids to older generation. But it really feels, for me, I don't know if this feels the same for you, like that 1993 period when everybody had a character, and no like a job role, but like when it was like, well, kind of like a job role, but everybody has to have like their own little like superhero gimmick, some sort of thing to make this person stand out. So when we sell a toy or when the game comes out, they're going to have DLC for Karrion Kross's mask and stuff like that. And it's going to be like, or if you want to dress like Karrion Kross, buy his new mask, and you're just like, well, I don't want him to have a fucking mask. I just want him to come out and look cool. I don't know how hard it is to... Wrestling's based on reality. Like, so we've got MMA, which is right there. We can see MMA. And for me, what I don't understand is why Bobby Lashley, an amazing MMA fighter, Brock Lesnar, an amazing MMA fighter, and the two of them are scary to look at. Like, they would probably beat anybody up in legit fight. They could probably beat anybody. Riddle's in there as well, a legit MMA fighter. Why are we not doing like some sort of bring back the Ken Shamrock style, actual MMA style? I would love to see Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, like what Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe done in TNA, like a worked MMA style match.
Yeah,
like that would work between those two. People would want to see it, and people would actually pay money to. You could be like, when they done the Raw Underground, that's what I thought they were going to do, more MMA style, because MMA is huge. It's everywhere. Everybody knows the UFC, and Bellator pretty much is just under the UFC that make a ton of money a year. So I thought they were going to do that, but they didn't. And I'm like, you've got these two huge guys that can legit kick the shit out of people. Just put them together. But no, WWE were just like, we need Roman, Lesnar, and then Paul Heyman. Best love triangle in wrestling, as I've been saying recently.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I completely agree with a lot of the stuff you said there. I mean, just going back to Karrion Kross there, by the way, and those characters very much. I mean, if WWE did a 2K 1993, I don't think Max Moon is the first character you'd pick out, is it? Do you know what I mean? Like you said, you want those more realistic styles, and I love the idea that you said that the Lion's Den. I think that'd be so much fun to bring back, because like I have the nostalgia vibes, like you say, with the Ken Shamrock style, and I think AEW recently did that with Wardlow and Jake Hager as well, and that sort of Bellator style worked really, really well. But I mean, Brock Lesnar coming back, I think it makes the most sense in a way, because, like you said, the storyline there with Paul Heyman, he's kind of like, almost laughing at the idea of like, you've replaced me for this kind of thing. So I kind of get that vibe. But like you said there, Brock versus Bobby is the dream match. And I hope that we are going to get that further down the line. Currently, at the moment, looking on the WWE roster pages, not that they're up to date by any stretch of the imagination, but Brock is still listed as under Raw. Maybe Brock is a free agent. Maybe Brock can do what he wants. Maybe Brock even has his match at Extreme Rules or Crown Jewel, and then he comes back onto Monday nights afterwards, because I believe the draft is due in October. So maybe this is the way that they're looking to do this. But yeah, it's interesting, because there's so many different avenues that WWE could go down, and right now they just refuse to do it. It almost feels like right now that we should be getting a really exciting period. There's such a great talent pool. There's so many potential characters. There's so much that we could be getting. But I don't know if you're finding it the same, but I'm finding this the hardest year to watch wrestling ever. And I've been watching it for a very long time. I don't know if it's age. It's definitely not age. It's I watch the retro stuff and I have the most fun. It's not because I was better back in the day kind of vibes. It's because there was excitement. There was need to watch those shows. There's something keeping me watching, needing to see the next week. I find with Raw, it's too long. It's difficult to watch. I'm even struggling with NXT at the moment. I don't know about you. It's just, is it too much quantity? What is it?
Man, for NXT last night, I done my review like 3 times because I just gave up doing it. I wasn't interested in it. I took my notes down and I was like, this is just... I think with NXT, it's because the rebrand or whatever they keep saying is going to happen soon. And I'm like, why am I even watching this? I'll just wait till they change it, because why should I get invested in anybody? And then Samoa Joe getting the belt. For me, I love Samoa Joe. I've watched them. I've got like the original Samoa Joe Unstoppable TNA DVD. Don't know, throwback for people that are older out there. I've still got it. Yeah. And that's how long I've been a fan of him, for like years. And I feel it's a little cop out into it, like, oh, let's give this guy it, so then he's going to put over a younger guy. Like, he's not going to keep it. We know he's not keeping it, because what WWE want to do with it. And like you said, like, I don't know, wrestling at the minute, apart from, I would say AEW, the last time you were on here, I think I moaned about them. Yeah. They're the only thing that's keeping my love for wrestling going a little bit longer. Obviously, Punk coming back, and you've got the matches that they're having. They're not the best. They're not great. They are doing things that are good, but apart from them, maybe Impact's up there as well, but even them have started to fall. But WWE, especially just WWE, it's so hard to watch on a weekly basis, because it's the same. I don't know if you feel this either. It always just feels like you're just watching. If I want to watch the same show, I'll just go watch the retro stuff that I grew up with. Like, I can just, I know what's going to happen, so I can go watch that. It's what Raw is. It's the same show. And like back in the day when we were watching wrestling, like that 90s, early 2000s, RK Bro would have been laughed out the door. Like, there's no way that would have even got in. But that's the coolest thing that's happening on Raw. I love it. I think it's cool. But it's back when, say, 2003, that would have been like a jobber position like group. Yeah. And then now the jobber position group is the coolest thing happening in wrestling, well, on Raw, which is embarrassing. And for me, what kills, in particular, Raw, just, I wish they would move that to the, I don't know, just away, so that you could get something cool on a Monday. Because when, like, Lily, when she went the other week, I literally just turned the TV off and went to bed. I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back to bed for a bit. Yeah. Go watch something that's more enjoyable. Go spend some time with the family. Realise that I don't need to be watching this, and because that destroyed me. Like, and even at SummerSlam when that doll was there, and like Eva Marie slapping the doll, and I'm like, oh my god, why are we what year is this? It's 2021. Yeah. How is this marketable? This is just embarrassing. But I don't know. That's just me ranting about WWE, man. I think, and I've said this on these podcasts recently, is I love wrestling so much. I've done wrestling. I was in the ring. Everything. I know all the different kind of parts of it. I love wrestling. And it's so sad to see something go from, well, the retro reviews that we do on your channel and stuff, and Rated R's channel. It's like, you got, some of them are terrible, like WrestleMania 9 or 9. I'll never forgive Rated R for picking. That one was terrible. But even that, I would rather watch WrestleMania 9 than watch, like, I don't know, Dewdrop and Lily. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to describe how awkward. Like, my kids, I don't know who it's for, because my kids think wrestling today is terrible. They would rather watch WCW. My son loves Sting. Like, he loves, like, that when he had the Wolfpack face paint on. So he loves Sting at that point. But then, like, today just does not watch it. He hates, like, Drew McIntyre's Scottish gimmick, because obviously I'm a proud Scottish person. But it's like, what is it? Cultural appropriation. I know he's Scottish, but it's the Americanness of Scottishness. Like, oh, we'll give him a big sword, and like, I'm just waiting for them to bring out a haggis or something, and I'm like, fucking, it's so awkward to watch. And then you've got just, I don't know, I can rant about this for hours, man. You know I can. It's pretty much what I do every Tuesday, but it's just it's hard, especially for us, like in the UK time zone of the planet. You're kind of sitting up late at night if you stay up to watch it live. And you've got like, here comes fucking Alexa Bliss on a swing, or Lily coming out, Eva Marie, there's Riddle on a scooter. You're like, this just isn't for me anymore.
No, but like you say there, it's just like, I mean, when did Drew McIntyre become a history teacher? Like, I mean, Drew McIntyre was just organically over. I mean, one thing I would say of props, since he's come out of the championship picture, on SummerSlam, he was actually cheered where he was getting booed for a lot of events where he was actually towards the Bobby Lashley feud. He got cheered at SummerSlam, so they've done something right there. But at the same time, like, despite with the SummerSlam stuff and that going right, we want a cool Drew McIntyre. We want the Drew that we had like at the start of 2020, where he was just like, you know, I don't mind him turning around and saying, you know, like certain bits and bobs, but going on about this sword and the Loch Ness monster and stuff, it's like you said, it's American stereotypical stuff, and it's just like, it's not for anybody. And again, it's kind of like this ideology of going where, even though he's kind of like a normal guy, it's kind of going with this character thing of like, as if you're fantasizing about being like a superhero that's like on Disney Plus or something. I feel this is where WWE is going. They want to become the new Disney. It's not about being a professional wrestling company anymore. It's about being characters that happen to be involved in a wrestling ring, which, I mean, other companies have done it. It's not worked well. No company as big as WWE has tried to do it, so maybe WWE will have better luck with it. But I just kind of feel like you said there, you hit the nail on the head. The passion right now and the big moves and the reason to tune in for shows all comes from AEW. That is where the energy is given. Unless you're, I mean, on SmackDown, I kind of give it. I even though Roman's probably not as hot with the storylines as what it was a year ago, I still am invested in what they do with the Tribal Chief. He's the head of the table for a reason. I love what they're doing with Baron Corbin, and I may be on my own with that, but you know what? I will stand on my own with that. I love what they're doing with the Corbin gimmick. I'm happy there's finally a render on WWE.com as well with his, with his dirty white shirt that he's wearing as well and bad hairdo. I love it. But I mean, like with AEW, like I said, Punk has come back. We've got the rumors potentially of, Bryan Danielson could be coming in. We've got Malachi Black. We've got Andrade El Idolo. We've got, who knows, Adam Cole could be there this time next week. We don't even know. And that, for me, would be a big signal of intent, because that was like one of your main guys on NXT, the rival Wednesday night show that was champion for the longest time, coming over to the rival. I just feel, for me, AEW right now is making moves, and they're making serious moves as well. They've been that company that's went, yeah, we're going to just be around for a couple of years. You're going to learn what we are, learn what we're about. And then we get to a point now where it's like, we've been around for 2 years. Bam, we're going to start making some big plays. We've got CM Punk in, Bryan Danielson, and like we said with those other names as well, to fit in with the likes of earlier this year. Okay, Christian Cage was a bit of a letdown for many, myself included, but at the same time, Christian Cage being back in the wrestling ring is brilliant. He's a terrific worker. He's a name value as well. You put the likes of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks and all that in there with as well. We've got a hell of a hot wrestling company with, all these young guns like Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, marketable guys. Darby Allin is a key example of what is actually marketable. Take your gimp mask away, Karrion Kross. Look at a Darby Allin. That's how you're going to get over.
Man, it's like AEW is professional wrestling, and funnily enough, professional wrestling works. Like, I don't understand why WWE have lost this idea of, Stone Cold still calls himself a professional wrestler, so does The Rock. And the reason the guys are not really coming into WWE anymore, and I've said it in interviews, is because it's more entertainment instead of from it being like wrestling, which it is two totally different things. Like, AEW is the thing that we love, and obviously they're getting bigger. I'm mega critical of AEW because I feel that they're making a little bit of the same journey that WCW started making, with getting these bigger guys in, maybe paying. Obviously, Tony Khan's rich as hell. If I had the same amount of money as him, I'd be doing the exact same. But I feel like they might be falling into the same trap as it. It just, obviously, I'm happy to see them there for 10 years, and if they make WWE seem cool again, then that'll be better. But like you say, that the gimp mask is a thing that's that, and the Lily really just ruined it for me. But you don't know, I'm a proud Scottish person. I love my country. I'm nationalistic about my country, but it's embarrassing to see the Americanisms of our country. Like, it's our national culture of, like, we have a unicorn as our national animal.
Yeah.
We all know we have unicorns, have Loch Ness monsters. Haggis runs around in the field. That's a joke for in case people think they actually do. It's most people in the world know what haggis is made of, like sheep's intestines, beef lungs, and things like that. It's disgusting, but I like it. We're proud of being Scottish. Like, how can Drew McIntyre not just be proud of being Scottish and just kick ass? Like, he's for Ayr, which is not too far from Glasgow. So you could bill yourself from Glasgow, Scotland, and come around and be like, just the way you'd imagine somebody from Glasgow be. Like, it's a harder area to grow up in Scotland. So it would make more sense, but they don't. Like, they just want them to be I don't know, wear a kilt, bring out a sword. It's if Vince or somebody has watched, like, Braveheart and went, you know what, we need the Claymore. Like, the Claymore hasn't been around for hundreds of years. Like, it's a national sword in Scotland, but it's not like nobody's going to be stoating around going. And the other thing that hurts me as well is, especially being from Scotland, we have a lot of great actual UFC fighters, great wrestlers and sports people in, like, the fighting world. If you had a sword, why would you not just hit them with a sword instead of from... Like, if you're coming to the ring to wrestle me and we hate each other, I've got a sword right there. Why would I wrestle you if I'm, like, in a feud with you and I really can't stand you? I'm just going to use a sword. It makes no sense. Like, it feels like the PG version of the Pillman gun scenario back in the day. And I'm just like, this is just so awkward. Like, they don't even... It's if the writers have never watched wrestling before, or the bookers, or whatever you want to call it, and they're only watching from, like, 2016 onwards. Like, they're just forgetting anything existed before that. But the Scottish stuff just really... Like, Piper Niven, calling her Dewdrop. She's a really good wrestler. Why not just have her be a really cool wrestler? And then Nikki Ash, I don't like that character at all. I think it's silly. She wasn't doing anything before it, but that's how terrible the booking was before it. It shows that she can get over, so, well, kind of get over. Like, why can we not use her over ability to give her something? And this is where I keep saying is, for the women's division, bring in, like, a middle title, like a women's IC title or something like that, because let's patch the tag belts. We don't need the women's tag belts.
They ain't working.
That middle title, because the middle title, like, if you imagine, like, you don't need Carmella going against Bianca Belair every week, but have Carmella win, like, a IC title. She holds it for a month and then drops it to Nikki Ash, who holds it for 2 months, and then these guys can build up to see if it works. But that's too logical for WWE. We don't want to get too much sense here. They'll start crying with that.
We can't make this where it's, you know, WWE going to go, actually, that makes sense. We have to keep it where it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Just for their own sakes there. But, like, I mean, you mentioned with Nikki Ash, and the thing is, I've been very trying to be as supportive as I can with the Nikki Ash character. Now, I kind of agree with a lot of the audience that say they don't like it because of the fact that with Nikki Ash, like, it's almost a superhero, and it was like, I almost beat you, Charlotte Flair was like, oh, that's cringeworthy. That's not good for her. And, like, she was booked so poorly as Raw Women's Champion as well. Like, I've said it's the worst champion run since Rey Mysterio back in 2006. Like, Rey won the championship at WrestleMania and then just lost every match until he lost the championship. And Nikki Ash did it a month earlier as well, losing that championship. But the thing of why I want her to get over is because apparently she came up with the character. And for me, I do know that, obviously, yes, it's a bit of a childlike character and it's a bit of a goofy character. But at the same time is that if Vince McMahon gave it the go and it got over, I mean, what Vince is making right now with his writing team isn't working. It ain't it. You know what I mean? We've seen Karrion Kross. You mentioned it already. That doesn't work. I'm sure Kross is not sitting and going, I know what I need. So, I mean, like, there, you know, that's not there. So if Nikki Ash can get it over, maybe there's like 2 or 3 creative cats in the back that turn and say, I know what would get me over big time. And that's what creates them to get them to the next level. And we get our next top guys or girls, you know what I mean? Because someone have the ability and Vince would trust in the talent that they can come up with a character and get over. It's just a shame that, unfortunately, people are booing Nikki Ash early on in the house shows. Maybe the first one isn't the one that's connected well enough. And if it doesn't get over, Vince may go, Well, see, this is why we don't let talent do it, because what do they know? They get nothing right. So Nikki Ash is going to go back and being buried down to the bottom end of the card. So that's why I wanted to get over. But at the same time, I do understand where some people's gripes are, because I think if Nikki Ash had an underdog story like a Daniel Bryan and built up for a long time as almost the superhero, it's like almost a superhero, won Money in the Bank, technically a superhero, become the champion. Everyone else is almost, well, they're in the rearview mirror. And then obviously we've got the new big bad boss of Charlotte Flair coming back once again to win the championship back. But I don't know what to do with Nikki Ash, honestly. I'd like it to work, but yeah, I can see where people are disconnecting.
Man, I get what you're saying, where like it would be cool if it works to give talent, like let WWE know that you can trust these people, but like it might be a cool idea, as in your head you've come up with this almost superhero, but then the writing team take it, and you can literally see they've went, right, just try it, see what happens, and then they take it and it just goes like you say, I almost bet Charlotte, I've almost bet Rhea, and it's like, why? This is so cringy. Like then when she gets the Money in the Bank, she's still almost, and then she gets the championship, then she says everybody can almost be superheroes, and it's like you're the main women's champion for wrestling, as WWE would have you think, and she's still saying that she's almost a superhero, and I'm thinking obviously now she's out that picture and she's pretty much just going to fall away back down the ladder and be left at the side back in catering. Let's just forget that she's ever done that, and she'll probably come back and go against Lily in a ladder match. That doll really just drives me around the bend, man. I can't. Every time that comes up, it makes me feel horrible. It's like it's the Undertaker set up that it done, the wink that it done, and I'm like, who is this? For like my little girl, she likes gymnastics, so she likes to watch some wrestling stuff. I've been teaching her stuff, but she hates watching that. Like, because she's scared of it. She's like, this is so stupid. And she's like 5. She's like, I'm like, what? How can this 5-year-old see that this is terrible? She likes watching like Rhea Ripley, like the edgier characters. She loves Charlotte, Becky, all that kind of stuff, but gets to Lily sitting up and you're like, oh my God, why is this a doll? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But that's WWE into it. And I think the problem with wrestling at the minute is just Raw really into it. Like, it's, how can they have Roman Reigns as, like, he's no doing as much as what he did last year. I feel like he's lost a wee bit of momentum, but he's still the best thing in WWE, and SmackDown is the Roman Reigns show. They're doing this cool little thing here on SmackDown, and then every 3-hour show on Monday, you're just like, what? Who's writing the Raw show? Just copy their homework. You can see it. It's on Friday. Just steal that. How have you felt Bobby Lashley's title run has went? Have you enjoyed it? Do you think it's a little bit lackluster?
Lackluster, if I'm honest. I think the real problem with it was the second they split up the Hurt Business. That was the first one, because actually, arguably probably one of the most popular videos I've done this year was that one that breaking up was a mistake, and just the logic of where it came out of nowhere as well. They just decided one week you guys are losing too much, and then just get rid of them. Because when it comes to building up your challengers, you need someone to feel like they're going to be a threat going into the pay-per-view. And you always had Cedric, you always had Shelton. It could have been the 2 Fall guys that then said, right, okay, we beat them, and then we get to Lashley. It's almost like we're talking like these game screens all the time to get to the big boss at the end. There seems to be a common theme here, but it's like it is almost like that. If you'd played like a Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter, you always played your way up to get to the big boss at the end or whatever. If you going through these games, and it's like this is kind of what it was like with Her Business. And then we had the feud with Drew McIntyre that went on for about 5 months, which, don't get me wrong, I was like yourself, I'm a big Drew McIntyre fan. I think he's a top babyface. Don't want everyone to see him go heel. I think to keep his freshness up, he needs to go to SmackDown. But they kept that feud going too long, and they made Bobby Lashley go soft in the meantime as well. Being the guy that when he beat Miz was like this predator, he was like an animal almost. He'd rip your limb from limb. He was going to get the championship. I wanted to see that dominance play out, because then someone had to come to Bobby's level to actually then take the championship from him. And no one's even done that, even when we've had Lashley's ladies, which he's been very much, often he's like, yeah, I'll do my own thing. Had a slight moment where with Kofi, destroyed Kofi Mania, completely annihilated him at Money in the Bank. Arguably was the wrong booking move, but he annihilated him, to where we then get Goldberg. And yes, he's annihilated Goldberg at the pay-per-view and done the stoppage thing. Fair enough, but I don't know. I've just not been connected, and I think the problem is with Raw, they're not connecting up the right challengers either. So there's just there doesn't feel like now that Goldberg's not there, it's like who takes the spot, as we said earlier on. I mean, Damian Priest has just become US champion. Doesn't feel right for him to be in there. We mentioned like of AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and Riddle probably would be more appropriate, but they're in the tag team division. Drew can't. So, I mean, what we're going to have Sheamus, who's also in the face mask right now, by the way.
Man, I don't know what Raw's done. Like, I don't know how they seem to like book themselves into this issue, and then they go, like, we'll need to try and figure a way out. They'll probably do like Drew gets a match to get out of no facing him for the title, and then it's just going to be like, why? Just like you say, send Drew to SmackDown and have him and Roman have like a little thing, but DC Drew beating Roman. No, like
not
Roman's just so hot. The way I always say that it should be done is like, if you have somebody like The Rock come back, it doesn't even need to be The Rock. Like, have the Usos turn on Roman. Like, remember last year when we've been planning this or something like that. Like, he loses the belt, and the stipulation is he can't go for the belt again for 6 months or something like that. Like, just some weird stipulation, and have him go have these great matches against the Usos again. First of all, bring back The Rock, or if you can bring back somebody like, you've got John Cena, you've got a Lesnar, have him have those dream matches there without the belt on the line, so then there's a possibility that he can get bet, but then have him go back and get the title 6 months later. But in that 6 months, you've had 4 people hold it and created 4 champions for him to go against in the future. But that's, again, too logical for WWE today, and it's so simple as well. Like, you can see what they should do, and it hurts to watch Raw to see that. But like you say, Priest, he's just won the belt against Sheamus. He can't go against Bobby Lashley yet. And I'm worried if he does, he gets the win, and it's too soon. It'll be like just pushing him far too soon. People start to turn against him. But Damian Priest is so good, and I don't want him to like get the belt so early and just people start to hate him. Vince gets it right off him, and then we never see him again, which you don't want to see for anybody. But it's just I don't know. For like I said at the start of this, like, I don't know, wrestling just feels, especially WWE, Impact as well for me at the minute. I'm really struggling to watch Impact just now. Like, I'm kind of like, I don't really care. I get Christians came down and stuff like that, but it's again, it just still feels like he's came down. Like, it's like, I don't know, Undertaker went to OVW one time. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean anything. That's what it feels like for Christian to go to Impact, even though he's the champion. You're kind of like, I don't know. Impact just, I love the matches. X Division's good. The guys that are there are really good, but it just doesn't feel like there's anything to get you invested. And the only thing that's doing that for me is AEW at the minute. And it's, I wasn't the biggest fan for AEW. I'm not a big Omega fan and stuff like that. But I've turned me around. Like, I need to put my hands up and say that I'm enjoying their product on a weekly basis. And it's just fun. Like, it's just professional wrestling. It's the way, back when we remember it, like, the unpredictability, the who's going to turn up this week. Do you know what I mean? Like, CM Punk turn up on Friday, but he's going to be there on Wednesday, or will he be there on Wednesday, or is Sting going to come out, or what's going to happen on Wednesday? And it's just so like fun and fresh. But then on WWE, you can guarantee that Bobby Lashley's going to come out with a suit, speak at some point, and then he might have a match later on that night. And you're just like, it's the same format, the same segment styles every single week. Like, somebody comes out, they're wearing their t-shirt, like the AJ and Randy Orton and Riddle before they set their match up, which were a good match, but just like, came out, spoke, and then they had the match. The exact same segment happened the week before, and it's like, so like, and also we're not that stupid that we believe that you guys are literally just coming out to set a match up. Obviously, this has been booked, hopefully been booked months in advance, but at least a couple of days.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, if you look at Raw this past week, you mentioned it with the particular superstars with the Raw Tag Team area, had Riddle and AJ not set that match up, that meant with 8 minutes before, however long it was before the end of the show, that Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville hadn't made a main event. There was no main event for that show. Like, who was going to come out? Was like, the Brooklyn Brawler going to make an epic return or something? I don't know. Like, they didn't have anything in the works by the seams of it. And it's like, you go with AEW and you say the excitement there, the buzz is there. Is any wrestling company perfect? No. They all make mistakes in their own ways, and we all find bits where we can nitpick and say, that could be done better. But you feel with AEW, there's a genuine effort made. With Raw, like you said, it's the same segments, it's the same rematches. Like, genuinely, like, if you're going to watch a story, like if you go to watch a different drama series or comedy or anything that you like outside of this, you turn around and go, or even if it's a movie that's got a sequel, there's usually story continuance. There's something that goes, right, okay, from this week we do this and next week we're going to do that. That little bit will enhance the story further. We got you in the following week to get the next part. You can watch the same story play out for about 6 weeks on Raw and nothing's changed. And you're like, well, hang on, this is what they said last week. And like, then they have the cheek to say, before we get to this segment, which again, you'd have already seen last week, let's play a recap package of what you've seen last week that you've already seen for the week before and the week before that. It's like, goodness. I think last year they had the Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza like 14 weeks out of like 16 or something like that in variations of matches. And this year they're doing exactly the same with other superstars. It's like, just mix the show up a bit. It doesn't hurt. Like, can't we have like Tozawa going against, I don't know, like Drew McIntyre one week and just make things up? Like Mansoor and Ali had to be with T-Bar and Mace for a month non-stop, like in different variations. It's like, we can split it up, make the matches feel fresh. And I think that's why you get tired of a rivalry after like 2 weeks, because you go, I've seen this. I know it's it again. And I've got another full team with it.
Man, I think that's just the way WWE do their thing, isn't it? Like, it's just the boring is the wrong word for it. Like back in the day, you might see Ken Shamrock go against Al Snow. They're not in a story, but they've maybe one time 2 years ago had a bad, like, they didn't like each other. But then they'll go against each other, and then the commentary will remind you, 2 years ago, these guys wrestled at this pay-per-view. But it's like they'll show you, like you just said, the exact same clip with slightly different words. It's what you'll get this week. And then at the pay-per-view, it'll be like, here's a recap. Remember, like, one of the best ones is Survivor Series 2002 into that Elimination Chamber, the kind of build-up package for it.
Yeah.
Everybody was over. Just 6 guys that were over as hell in that first Elimination Chamber. And you get that every single match. There's always a story or a wee package put together. The packages now are literally just 2 people standing in the ring, talking to each other, and then they have this pay-per-view match that kind of could just be on Raw. Doesn't really matter. And then we just move on, and it's like, just forget about the pay-per-view. And the thing that you said about Baron Corbin, just coming back to that, I love his gimmick at the minute. I've always enjoyed Corbin's, when he was the Lone Wolf, I thought he was great. When he became the King Corbin, I didn't like him that much. But the Lone Wolf one was great. And then just now, he's doing what I keep telling people to do, is use social media. It's like, it's there. Everybody can see it, and the guy's doing it great. He's even got some people in AEW commenting on it, like MJF was like, I'll give you some money and stuff like that. And it's like, that's cool to see. It creates buzz. And he seems like the only guy that understands what he's meant to be doing as a wrestler. Like, I'm trying to get people to look at me and obviously go out and do like work. Plus his gimmick's hilarious at the minute with like I just need $100,000 and stuff. I think it's just I just love it. I think it's the best thing in SmackDown WWE, apart from Roman Reigns at the minute, because you can't say anything bad about, the tribal chief, the guy who's pretty much holding the show together just now, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I'd have loved to see, I know that this isn't going to happen now, but I'd have loved to see Corbin go and try and get the $1 million championship from Cameron Grimes. I know that there's not really a way to make that work, but it could have been that next desperate step, because the $1 million championship in his head is like, well, it's $1 million. It's more than what I need. It gets me back on my feet. It could have even played it for 2 weeks on one part of TV. You've had this brand for brand invitational. Why not go and invade NXT? It could have been just something a bit fun and something a bit different.
Funny. Like, there's a lot you could do with that. You could have took it to a pawn shop. It could have only been worth like $12 and stuff like that. Like, it would have been so much fun, but I don't think WWE want to recognise NXT anymore. I think that's where they're turning it more into that. Like, young guys, and you won't get the cool wrestlers that we like to see anymore. It's just going, and they'll come to the main roster. They'll get the gimp masks, and we'll be here shouting about it because of how shit it really is. And going forward, obviously, seeing where WWE is going to go, and even AEW is what do they do going forward? Like AEW have obviously got CM Punk and Daniel Bryan might be coming in. You've got Bray Wyatt, Adam Cole, all these guys that are speculated to come here. WWE's got Lesnar. He's not got. I love Brock Lesnar, but he's not going to be there all the time.
No.
Who have you really got in WWE? Plus, then WWE announced that they're doing Crown Jewel again, which I think everybody just rolled their eyes and was like, "Oh,
yeah,
here we go to a Twitter war again."
Well, this is why these superstars are back. I mean, if you believe the dirt sheets, I mean, Brock versus Roman was not supposed to be till WrestleMania 39, believe it or not. That's where that destination of that match was originally planned to be. But they've brought it forward, and it's clearly going to be a crown jewel. For people that think it'd be Extreme Rules, I mean, I'm willing to be proven wrong in it, but I think it's highly unlikely. Like, the destination of that is it's going to be probably at the crown jewel pay-per-view, as you said there. And, like, I mean, Goldberg probably come back against Lashley at Crown Jewel as well, because they've kept that storyline going as well. So, look, we just have to be thankful, like you said, for the things that are good. And one storyline I will just give a praise to is you mentioned about flashbacks about a few minutes ago of taking something from a couple of years back. Seth Rollins and Edge, that stuff that they took back from 2014, complete accident that they can use it in 2021, but still, that's great that they actually use that as part of the storyline. And they actually had a very well booked feud going into SummerSlam. Doesn't feel like that's finished yet either. I like the addition of the Brood side of Edge as well. So there was some cool things and factors, and I wouldn't normally be a fan of the blood coming from the top end on top of Seth Rollins, but I just think it was actually a cool visual for once, and the fact it was completely black as well, and Seth with a pure white suit. We should have seen it coming with all of them ridiculous suits he's had recently, but no, I kind of enjoyed what they've done with that feud. I think that has to be, we have to give the positives where they're due, and I think they've done really well with that.
Definitely, man. I think that's one of the best feuds that we've had for a while in WWE. Like, I think Edge, Rollins, I've not been a big fan of him. I don't know, something just doesn't sit right with me with him. I think it's because the thing that happened with Sting, just in my brain, I'm just like, nah. But I think he's really warmed up to me. I enjoy watching his stuff. Both of them are really good. Like we say, Roman's a positive one there as well. The women's division's been good, Bianca Belair, until SummerSlam. But she's been really good. Rhea Ripley, who's good. You got a bunch of good talent there. They just need to, put it together and stop making it feel like the same week, same shit, different week. Pretty much, it's like you go to your most people go to their normal job every 9 to 5, live that normal kind of 9 to 5 life. Most people do that, and then they go back home. They don't want to just see the normal shit on the TV. I mean, they don't want to see, I'm going to go back home and watch 3 hours of Raw. Kind of seen the same stuff last week, but I'll just watch it again this week because I don't know why they would. I can't tell. I don't tell anybody to watch Raw. Like, I literally say watch my review because that's easier than watching 3 hours of just. I don't know how you would describe it. It's just terrible TV. Like, it's really cheesy, and especially from, you'll remember even better back in that 2099, 97 onwards period. Raw was just, you had to watch it. Like, even the highlight show that we would get here in the UK, you had to watch the highlight show because if you didn't, obviously you wouldn't know what the hell was happening. But it just felt like you had to watch this because Austin came out with a beer truck last week. What's he going to do this week? You know what I mean? That was just, it was insane. Then you look now and you've got for the past 2 years we've had, the same person come out with the same gimmick that doesn't work. But they're still just pushing it because who cares? But then getting back to your point there, man, is the Hurt Business. That breaking name up from Bobby Lashley it gave Bobby Lashley some substance. And I'm sure you remember him back in 2006 when he had, or 2008, was it? 87, whatever it was. He had the ECW championship. Everybody thought he was going to go for the world title then. Yeah. Then he left. He came back. We're like, oh, this is going to be cool. We'll get those dream matches. And then they had the Hurt Business. So I was like, this is going to be like Evolution 2.0 into it. Like, these guys, you've got the tag belts, you've got this. And then they were like, no, you know what? We're going to break the tag team up, break the whole stable up. Not do anything with anybody else. Yeah. Just have Lashley do the same thing for 5 months. And you're like, what sense does that even, like, if they're looking at a business perspective for marketing 5 people as a group to sell 5 different things is a lot better than just one person. That people are kind of just like, I don't really know what's happening. But that's just WWE at the minute, isn't it? It's just kind of like, and what you said is about the Disney stuff is 100%. I feel like either they're trying to get somebody to invest more or buy them or whatever. I know Nick Khan says, we're not looking to sell, but we're open to listen to pitches. That makes no sense. Like if you, we're open to listen to your offers, but we're not going to sell. Why are you listening then? But like, they just want to be a Disney. They just want to be able to sell it or become just like a Disney and have these superheroes or almost superheroes and just we'll just never watch it again. There's reviews won't exist for it.
Well, if Nick Khan gets his wish of saying of like, Raw could do with being 4 hours, it's like, are you joking? Like, if you make Raw a 4-hour show, like, I mean, the ratings are, you'll get more money in. Like, if USA or Fox or whoever are willing to go, here's your big stash of money, fair enough, you take it. But the thing is, though, the ratings, they're going one way, they're going down. That's where they're going. And AEWs are going up. So clearly you can see which wrestling company people are leaning towards and which one is doing right. Like I said, I'm not a push of an advocate. I'm not like, when these people say, you're just AEW, you're anti-WWE. I love wrestling. I love all aspects of both companies, of what they can push forward. And there are things that I do find enjoyment out of from WWE, like you said, which we discussed on this. But at the same time, like, I just, we need the WWE to sort of want to push that envelope once. You need to just do something where it makes us feel like we need to be invested. I want cliffhangers. I want storylines, a reason to sink my teeth into with a good story. I want twists and turns, like you said with Austin each week would do this thing and always go and level up. And you think, right, okay. And if there was a rematch, there was a reason for the rematch rather than this. You ever have that same match we had last week on Raw? Why? Because it feels like we can't think of anything else. We can't take 2 rivalries and mix them up either. Like, we might occasionally make a 6-man tag team match with players. Do you know what I mean? But we're not going to get it any other way. So, I mean, they just need to look at a different marketing scheme going forward. And I mean, for goodness sakes, like, have people that know what they're writing about as well. Because I do feel sorry for that girl now. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I didn't even know Bobby Lashley's name. Just was like, it was Bobby, what was it? Bobby Ashley or something was what she came up with. It's like, what chance have we got, honestly? And it's like, I don't know. It's becoming more and more likely for people that you said that do these reviews that don't get the enjoyment of making them. It's great though for the other people though, because like you say, we're saving them a hell of a lot of time. They only have to check us out for 10 to 15 minutes. And depending if you want to do the full on podcast, you do the 45-minute hour thing. We're still saving people time where we can, bury the hell out of it rather than them doing it themselves or Bianca Belair at SummerSlam.
100%, man. But if you're talking about repetitiveness, it's one I'm going to bring back a horrible memory for you. It's Lara versus Nia, the table segment, the Samoa drop through the table, and it happened for 8-9 weeks, and then they didn't do anything for a month, and then they booked a table match at the pay-per-view, and it was like, what? Who, is somebody just found what they were doing, and then they're like, I forgot to finish that storyline, so I'll tie up just now. But I'm on about wrestling because I love wrestling. Like, if you listen to people talk about football, I don't know, other sport, golf, American football, they're probably moan about their team. Yeah. Wrestling's one big team. I love everything from I watched literally this morning I was watching Terry Funk versus Ric Flair, which is the worst thing to do if you're just watched NXT. Then you go watch that and you're like, how can these be the same? And don't watch any old stuff that's good before you watch Raw because you'll just ruin Raw for you. But I watch everything. Like, I love all wrestling. I don't discriminate between my wrestling. If I can sit and watch any matches, this is why I do this channel. I literally love it, and that's why I'm on about it, because I want to see it get better, because it's been good. It was insanely good. Even the Ruthless Aggression era, right up to that 2010-11 period, it was good. And then for some reason, it just kind of started to go down. And then 2016 happened, and from 2016 onwards, for me, has just been like, what's even happening here? Like, there's been a few good moments, but nothing really to mega dive in on. And that's what AEW does when the flip side is correct. like you said, I'm not one of those AEW marks that you see on Twitter and stuff. It's like, don't watch anything else other than them. But
Yeah.
they are doing something that's fun and it's refreshing, and it just kind of, it's like they've opened the window in a warm room, let some fresh air in. You're like, oh, at least wrestling's still kind of here. It's not great, but it's still kind of here. But it's a fun thing to watch and a really fun thing to moan about. That's what we do best, because wrestling fans, like always, like to moan about wrestling because we know what's good, and then when we see something bad, it's like we need. The other thing as well, we need to let the company know. If we didn't moan like this, how would that company know? Like, that's not going to work. Like, it's what we do. Like, we're as part of them as they're as part of us. Like, if a singer puts out a bad song, I'm not going to listen to it. Then they know I'm not going to do that song again.
Yeah.
WWE is different. They'll keep doing that song for 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks, and then go, maybe that's no working. We'll try it again for another 2 weeks, right? It's definitely no working, so we'll try it again. But I think it's just, I always say to people, if you're going to watch wrestling, just go in with an open mind, especially today's stuff. But go watch some of the old classic stuff, like the old, like 2000s, even 2010, like Punk then, or Undertaker. Go find somebody that you would like to get back into, watch it from there. And then when you watch today's stuff, just keep an open mind, because it's not the same as what it used to be. But I always recommend now AEW. Do you recommend like AEW to go to because it's professional wrestling, or would you get somebody in on like watch a 3-hour Raw, because that's going to enjoy? You're going to enjoy that.
Exactly. No, I mean, you like you say right now. I mean, AEW is the place to where you'd recommend people to go. I mean, the thing is, you can find good and bad, and as I say, like I'd say to people, SmackDown is a fairly easy watch. One thing I'd say about that for a WWE show, it's not too long. So that show, even if it's not always the best, I find it's passable. And I actually, like we said, there's a few other things. I enjoy the Alpha Academy. Even I might be on my own again there with that, but I enjoy what they've done with Otis. I think it's the completely repackaged seems to be working, even though the Street Profits Alpha Academy feud is slightly going back down that same avenue. But still, I enjoy Pat McAfee and commentary. I enjoy Nakamura with Boogs, with with the way that's done. It's fun watching that entrance. So there are things there, but AEW is definitely one that I'd recommend. There are things from Impact that's definitely worth checking out. You mentioned the X Division. Deonna Purrazzo is killing it right now. I mean, she's just doing a phenomenal job. And I want to give a shout out to NWA this week, because I mean, I think everyone should go and check out Empower. I think seriously, obviously they've got the 73rd anniversary show as well, which I know Ric Flair's going to be on, but I really want that women's show to be successful, because I mean, WWE did Evolution a few years ago, didn't go back to it. If you believe the things that have been said to Mickie James, she's come out and said, and saying like literally they've seen that women's wrestling doesn't draw, doesn't do anything. They've got some great talent on that card there. I mean, Deonna Purrazzo's going there. We've got Kylie Ray. We've got Camille. I think Layla Hirsch is there as well from AEW. So they've got some talented people there, and talented performers are going to be Chelsea Green, another one. So I hope they do really, really well with that show, and I hope people are going to give us the support and love, because women's wrestling for me is actually, it's one of the major things that's really improved over the last decade, particularly the last sort of since 2013, 14, in particular with NXT, Paige and Emma with that first takeover match onwards, to be a success. So I recommend people go and check that out this weekend.
Definitely, man. I think it's just from when we were watching wrestling as kids and teenagers and stuff, women's wrestling has came so far, because it was brand panties matches to where we are now. The NWA stuff, it's going to be great. I'm going to be watching it. Like I say, I watch wrestling no matter what it is. Like the other one I always tell people to recommend, go check out, is MLW. These guys are killing it. They've got quite a lot of shows on YouTube, and they're just putting on great matches. Man, but thanks. We're at the end of the podcast. So one question before you go, thanking you for being on and stuff like that. You know the jazz. We always thank each other. I'll give you a chance to promote your stuff at the end. But last question is, if you could have been in the audience at any match in history, what was the one match you would want to be in? What's the one you would want to be sitting there and see it happen in front of you, front row and centre?
So I'm going to cheat. Can I have two?
You can have two, man.
Can I have two? So first one was one that I'd have loved to have gone to, would have been WrestleMania 28. I'd have loved to have been there for the end of the era. Undertaker versus Triple H Hell in a Cell match with Shawn Michaels, the storytelling, the match, that for me designs of the perfect style of wrestling match that I love and get engaged in. But if you want from pure crowd emotion and stuff, obviously Rampage would have been one last Friday just for that emotion of Punk's return. But I think for that, Money in the Bank 2011, Chicago, CM Punk going with the championship against John Cena, fantastic match those two have as well. For me, that would probably be where I would love to be.
Mine would be Hogan Rock, just because WrestleMania 18, fantastic match. I love that match and just the experience, like these two giants in the ring, WCW, WF, all that kind of stuff. I've not even thought of a second one. I'd probably have to go for it would have to be a Taker Mankind, wouldn't it? Like just to be behind that, the commentary and see Mankind come off it, because that would have been amazing to experience. But there's so many matches you would love to just be in that crowd, experience the feeling from it as well. And just before I let you go, man, your post that you put the other day on Twitter about SummerSlam coming back to the UK, I hope that's true. I hope WWE recognise it. They need to be able to do something here with a big pay-per-view. It'll sell out in minutes. Everybody's dying for... Obviously, we've got ICW and all that kind of stuff, but again, it's independence, it's smaller shows. Not that many people are going to go see a smaller show, especially ICW do normally their stuff in O2 Academy or Garage and stuff like that. There's not that many people that go see it. But a WWE coming with a SummerSlam and having like Drew McIntyre as the main event, it's going to be insane. But man, thanks for being on. Where would you like people to go check you out first? Because obviously you've got your YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. You're pretty much everywhere, and you're killing the YouTube stuff, man. You're doing amazing content. I watch your stuff all the time. But where would you like somebody to go check you out first, or what's a video you would get somebody to go check out first of your content?
Oh, well, for stuff we've discussed on here today, we mentioned about the Hurt Business breakup as a mistake, although I would say it's a few months ago now. So I think one that I would say is kind of topical and quite fun, because we mentioned Drew McIntyre on this channel a bit. I fantasy booked Drew McIntyre's journey from now to WrestleMania 38 and how I would book the storylines all the way through. So I think that's a fun video for people to go and check out. And of course, I'm known for Q&As. That's probably my other go-to with the channel. So if there's ever a Q&A, then it's a great place for people to interact, ask the questions they want to ask, and I can give my feelings on them. Man,
your Q&As, I watch them all the time. Every time I see it, I'm like, I'm going to get a question for next week's one. Never do. Somebody always asks me before I get a chance to put it in. So that's why I've not put anything in there. But definitely go check out your channel, man. Anybody who's listening to this, go subscribe. It's great. Anybody I have on this podcast, go support them. But you, Rated R, all those guys, you have helped my channel grow from doing your retro reviews. So obviously that's like a big thanks from me, and it's cool to get you on this channel. But man, if you want anything you want to say before you leave, just go subscribe and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I want everyone to subscribe to your channel as well, man, because you put so much amazing content out there. You're hardworking, you're dedicated. I think like with the YouTube community, you're like Mr. No Days Off. You know what I mean? Move over Darren Young, because like literally, there's like constant uploads. If there's a show, you'll review it. If there's like some fantasy booking, watch alongs, these podcast interviews, man, you work around the clock, man. So you deserve all the praise in the world. So I want everyone to subscribe to your channel, and I want to thank you for having me on once again. It's been a pleasure to come back.
No problem. I wouldn't go as far as say I'm putting out good content. I'm putting out content, but
it's great. It's great content. Honestly, it is great content. Whether you're ranting, whether you're praising, it's always great content, and it's always a joy to watch.
Well, man, thanks for being on. So what I'll do is I'll end the podcast here, and I'll tell you when it's going to go up and stuff like that after it.
Awesome.